Preeya, you've confessed to me that you haven't baked a lot of bread, so I've decided to do a focaccia, which is one of the simplest breads to bake. And we're going to go through it step by step and make it nice and easy so you and everyone at home can see it and say, I can do that.
Perfect.
Easy, isn't it?
Thank you, Richo.
Starts with 3 cups of plain flour, and I'll pop that into the bowl. Make sure you tap the packet to make sure you get all of the flour out. Off we go. Now, you'll see here is this fluffy thing. This is yeast, and it's been activated, which means I put a little bit of sugar, some warm water, and a pinch of flour with the yeast in the bowl and put it in a warm place, and it becomes nice and fluffy like this. When you see it fluffy like this, you know it's activated and you know it's ready to use. If it doesn't fluff up, don't use it. Start again, get some new yeast, because this is really important, and this tells you that everything is going to go really, really well. Or almost, if you follow the instructions.
Okay.
Now, I make a little well in the centre, and I put the yeast in there and scrape it off with my little scraper to get every single bit of that lovely yeast out of there.
So how long does that process take?
About 15 minutes.
Okay.
To that, I'm going to add a pinch of salt, which you can grab from over there.
Can.
And the trick is not to add too much salt at this stage, because the salt will kill the yeast if you put too much in. You can put it on later on, but at this stage here, you want a little bit to add flavour, but not so much that you kill the yeast. Really important. Now, I'll get you to start stirring that around. And to that, I'm going to add some warm water. Usually with this recipe, it's about 3 cups of flour to approximately 300 mils of warm water. And we're using warm water because we want the yeast to activate and we want this to proof. So I pour that in. And a little trick is, you know, when you're measuring on scale, sometimes they're not always 100% accurate, or you might slip a little bit of extra flour in there. I always add most of the water and then have a little look at it and then see how you go. It's starting to firm up now, isn't it?
My arm's starting to struggle a bit.
I can tell because the elbow comes up like that.
This
I can
is
tell.
my sign of weakness.
Exactly. So I'm looking at that and it's starting to come together really well. So at this stage, Preeya, I just dust the board with a little bit of flour. Always have some flour handy. And I scrape this part of it out and pop it onto the board. And I can feel from here that it just needs a little bit of a knead to bring it all together.
Beautiful.
And that's what you're looking for. See, it's really, really soft like this. I'm making a little bit of a mess here, but this is also good. It's the same thing for pizza. It's the same recipe for pizza.
Okay.
And it's a great thing to teach the kids to bake dough. You can see that comes together. Have a feel of that.
Yeah, beautiful.
Nice and warm and soft, and you can feel it's got a bit of spring to it.
Yeah.
It's quite elastic because I've kneaded it and stretched it, and it wants to spring back in space. So what I do now is pop it into a bowl like that. A little dust of flour on top, and then normally I would cover it with Glad wrap or a tea towel and pop it somewhere nice and warm. An oven at about 35 degrees Celsius. Leave it in there for about an hour or two and you'll see it double in size.
Okay.
Now, what I've done already is I've gone ahead and done this. It's already proved. See what I mean by doubling in size? Have a little feel of it.
Wow, it's quite different.
Exactly.
Yeah, very soft.
There's a lot of air bubbles in there, and it's grown and raised, and it's really nice and soft, and it's ready to continue on with. Usually about an hour and a half, 2 hours, depending on the warmth and humidity. Now, at this stage here, I'll be really, really careful and just take it out of the bowl. And you can see, as I touch it, it sort of drops. I'll pop it down on the board. There you can see it's nice and flat. It's almost a little bit sloppy, isn't it?
Yes.
So I'll just dust it with a bit of flour and a little bit on the bottom, and I'll just spread it out like this. And you can see it's really, really soft now.
Easy to work with.
And I can move it around.
Yes.
Now, at this stage here, you can do just about anything with it. But what I'll do is I'll pick it up gently, pop the tray down on the board here like this, and then pop it straight onto the tray there like that. And then I just spread it out on the tray really, really easily. And just with your fingers, push the fingers into it and make these little holes like that. And great, you've gone ahead and chopped some of that rosemary.
It's all about the herbs, so I got involved, yes.
We're ready to go. Now, the tip here is to preheat your oven to 210 degrees, and I'm using a special function called fan bake, which allows it to get a really nice, even temperature all the way around so that whatever you're baking rises and cooks beautifully. Now, rosemary there, some olives there, and some extra virgin olive oil over the top of it. So make sure you put plenty of this over here. And because we put all these holes in it, the olive oil sinks into those holes beautifully.
Lovely.
I'll grab the thyme and the rosemary and just sprinkle it over the top here like that. Plenty of herbs on here. As these herbs roast, you'll get the smell of the roasting herbs all the way through the house and everyone will be really excited about it.
Perfect.
All right, throw me some of those olives
Yeah, go
there.
for it.
All right, that'll
Go
be
for
enough
it.
there.
More, enough? No?
Yeah, that's enough. So I'll spread them around here like this.
Lovely.
And just push them down a little bit. Over there, you've got some salt. Sprinkle some salt on there.
Yes, can do.
Like there's no tomorrow.
Yes.
All over the place. And pepper as well on top of there.
Perfect.
How
This
is
is very easy, Richo. And I've learned all the really kind of nitty-gritty things about bread that I've heard about and doughs, but now actually makes sense.
It's ready to go.
Yeah.
Now, you could let this prove if you wanted to and it sort of puffs up, but I just pop it straight into the oven, about 20 minutes or so, 25 minutes. I'll know it's cooked. It'll be golden on top and the underneath will be golden as well. It's fantastic. Into the oven we go.
Perfect.
Looks great, doesn't it?
It does. The herbs, you were right about the aroma. Wow.
Cut it in half. Normally I'll just tear it apart, but it is quite hot. Have a little nibble on
Wonderful. Thank you, Richo.
that. The olives in there. You could put cheese in there. You could load it up with whatever herbs you want. You could even mix herbs through the dough if you wanted to. But I like the way that they crisp and roast on the top of it. And they're so filling that you can't even say anything, can you? Almost.
It's beautiful. I can imagine this with a trio of dips. Dipping that in, a couple of little other things with it. Oh, beautiful.
You know what? I like that you're thinking creative things about it, but it's all about making a simple dough. Now that you know how to make it, and whether you put just herbs on it or all those other things, you know how to make it.
I do. Thanks for sharing, Richo.
Absolute pleasure.